Ethan checked his phone for the fifth time in 10 minutes. 7:18 p.m. She was supposed to arrive at 7. He sat alone at a small corner table inside a quiet cafe, the kind of place with warm yellow lights and soft piano music that made lonely people feel less lonely, or sometimes more. He had chosen it carefully. Not too fancy, not too casual, somewhere in between, just like him. A blind date, set up by a coworker who insisted that you two would be perfect for each other. Ethan hadn't dated in over 2 years. After his fiancée left him for someone else, something inside him closed. He buried himself in work, routines, and silence. But lately, the evenings had grown longer. The apartment felt emptier. So when his coworker pushed him into this, he finally agreed. He ordered coffee, then another. His eyes scanned every woman who entered the cafe, hopping, then slowly realizing she wasn't coming. At 7:40, he sent a polite text. "Hey, just checking in, I'm here." No reply. By 8:00, acceptance settled in. He paid the bill and stood up, embarrassment burning quietly in his chest. Blind dates were humiliating enough. Being stood up made it worse. As he stepped outside, cold air brushed his face. He pulled his coat tighter and started toward his car. That's when he heard a small voice. "Mommy, I'm tired." He turned instinctively. On the bench near the cafe entrance sat a woman holding a little boy, maybe 5 years old. The child's head rested on her shoulder. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair loosely tied back, hands gripping a worn handbag like it was her last lifeline. The woman whispered something to the boy, brushing his hair gently. Ethan hesitated. It wasn't his business. Still, something tugged at him. He walked past them, then stopped. Turned around. "Excuse me," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, startled. "Oh yes, I mean we're fine, thank you." But her voice betrayed her. Ethan nodded awkwardly. "Sorry, it's cold out here. The cafe's still open." She forced a small smile. "We're waiting for a bus." The boy shifted, clearly fighting sleep. Ethan glanced down the street. The bus stop was 2 blocks away. "You're waiting here." She nodded. He was too tired to walk. Something felt off. He hesitated, then asked, "How long have you been waiting?" Her lips pressed together. "Almost an hour." Ethan swallowed. He didn't know why, but suddenly the blind date didn't matter anymore. "Would you like to come inside?" he offered, "just to warm up. I was about to leave anyway." The woman looked unsure, protective, then she looked at her son. "Okay," she said quietly. Inside, Ethan bought the boy hot chocolate and the woman tea. The child perked up instantly, wrapping his hands around the warm cup. "Thank you," the woman said, eyes glossy. "I'm Sarah, this is Noah." "I'm Ethan." They sat. Not close, not far. Just two strangers sharing warmth. After a few minutes, Sarah spoke. "The bus, it doesn't run this late anymore. I didn't realize." Ethan frowned. "So how are you getting home?" She hesitated, then finally said, "We don't really have one right now." The words landed heavily. Noah leaned against his mother, already half asleep. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He didn't know why God had let his blind date disappear. But suddenly, it felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. They told him their story in fragments. Sarah had recently left an abusive relationship. She had packed what she could carry and taken Noah with her. They had been staying with a friend, but that arrangement ended earlier that day. She had come to this area for a job interview. She didn't get it. The money she had barely covered food and transportation. Now they were stranded. Ethan listened quietly, fighting the lump in his throat. "I'm sorry," he said. That's a lot." Sarah shrugged weakly. "We'll figure it out." but her eyes told him she didn't know how. He looked at Noah, fast asleep on the chair, hot chocolate untouched. A thought entered Ethan's mind. He tried to push it away. This is crazy. You don't invite strangers home. But then he remembered the empty apartment, the silent evenings, the way he had prayed for something, anything, to feel meaningful again. He cleared his throat. I have a guest room, he said carefully. It's nothing fancy, but it's warm. You could stay tonight, just tonight. Tomorrow we can figure out next steps. Sarah froze. Her eyes widened. I can't ask that of you. You didn't, Ethan replied. I'm offering. She shook her head. You don't even know us. He gave a small, sad smile. Sometimes that doesn't matter. Tears slipped down her cheeks before she could stop them. Noah stirred. Sarah wiped her face quickly. I promise we won't be a burden, she said. Just one night. Ethan nodded. That night, Noah fell asleep almost instantly in the guest room. Sarah stood in the doorway watching him, hand over her mouth. He hasn't slept peacefully in weeks, she whispered. Ethan felt something shift inside him. They talked quietly in the kitchen afterward. About life. About mistakes. About starting over. Sarah admitted she had lost herself trying to survive. Ethan admitted he had been afraid to open his heart again. Two broken stories meeting unexpectedly. The next morning, Ethan helped Sarah contact a local shelter and employment agency. He drove her to interviews, watched Noah while she filled out forms. Days turned into weeks. Sarah found part-time work, then full-time. She and Noah moved into a small apartment. But they stayed in Ethan's life. Noah started calling him Uncle Ethan. Sarah brought homemade meals to thank him. Ethan helped with school pickups. Slowly, gently, something beautiful grew between them. Not rushed. Not forced. Just natural. One evening, months later, they sat on Ethan's balcony watching Noah chase fireflies. Sarah broke the silence. You know, she said softly, if your date had shown up that night, none of this would have happened. Ethan smiled. I think God had other plans. She looked at him, eyes shining. So do I. A year later, Ethan stood in the same cafe where it all began. This time, he wasn't alone. Noah sat beside him, swinging his legs. Sarah stood at the counter ordering drinks. You nervous? She asked when she returned. Ethan chuckled, a little. She reached for his hand. That simple touch still amazed him. They had taken things slow. Healing took time, trust took patience, but love, real love, had found its way in. Ethan often thought about how close he had been to driving home that night. How easy it would have been to miss everything. Later that afternoon, they visited the park. Noah ran ahead, laughing. Sarah leaned into Ethan. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not walking away. He kissed her forehead. I didn't find you that night, he said. I was sent to you. She smiled through tears. Sometimes blessings don't arrive the way you expect. Sometimes they don't wear pretty dresses or show up on time. Sometimes they come tired, scared, carrying a small child and a broken heart. And sometimes, what feels like rejection is actually redirection. Ethan had gone out looking for romance. Instead, God gave him purpose. He went on a blind date and found a family.